There we go. Let's call this meeting to order. Vice Mayor, would you mind doing the pledge? Invocation by Pastor Keith Capizzi. Let's pray. Father, we thank you that we get the privilege to come before you, seek your wisdom, your guidance, your providence over the city. Lord, we thank you for a city that has lasted a long time, has grown to be recognized by people around the world. Pray for our leaders, our commissioners, the mayor, city attorney, city manager, and all those who are conducting the service tonight, Lord. I pray that you'd give them wisdom and they'd be linked together as one, Lord. And Father, let us accomplish the work that you have chosen for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, City Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Hutcherson.
Here.
Commissioner Tumulty.
Here.
Vice Mayor Williams.
Here.
Mayor Capizzi.
Here. All right, let's get an approval of the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So before we begin, I want to just acknowledge somebody that did something very special in our neighborhood. We're thrilled to recognize Mackenzie as one of the 2 winners of the FDOT Bicyclist Drawing Contest. I think we got pictures up there.
Yep.
Her artwork is a wonderful contribution to our community, promoting bicycle safety and creativity. We also extend our appreciation to her family for the support and encouragement. Congratulations, Mackenzie. Your fabulous artwork helps make our community shine. And for those of you who don't know, it's by the school up on Minuteman Causeway.
Yep.
All right, and then we also have a special presentation. And I will read a proclamation. Whereas the incorporation of the town of Cocoa Beach occurred on June 5th, 1925, and whereas the town of Cocoa Beach became incorporated into a city in 1957, and whereas the prosperity and development that the city has enjoyed is a direct reflection of the leadership shown by its elected officials over the past 100 years, and whereas the City Commission truly believes that the strength of a community rests within its citizenry and wishes to acknowledge the efforts of all who have worked to make Cocoa Beach the city it is today. And whereas it is fitting and appropriate that the city of Cocoa Beach and all of its citizens join in the commemoration of the city of Cocoa Beach's birthday. Now therefore, the City Commission of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, does hereby proclaim June 5th, 2025 as the date to celebrate Cocoa Beach's 100-year anniversary, passed and duly adopted in regular session this 5th day of June 2025. So if you notice the birthday cake over here and the birthday sign, after we're done, we'll make this a short one. You guys are all welcome to have some cake as well. All right. Any public comment about items that are not on the agenda? Yeah, come on up. And just as a clarification, I had the last couple meetings. They were thinking that they were going to get comments on the end of the meeting as well. That's only if we exceed 30 minutes in the initial public comments. So there will not be comments at the end if we don't exceed 30 minutes in the initial public comments.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to also say a couple of words to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the city. I was mayor on the 75th anniversary of the city, and I want to acknowledge the wonderful residents, most of them now deceased, the Citizens Action Committee, who fought the good fight, had 4 referendums challenged in court and everything to lower the building height from 85 feet to 45 feet and reduce the density. That's what has really, I believe, kept Cocoa Beach the nice beachy town look that we still have. So I wanted to acknowledge that. Many of those people, I had never met so many veterans of World War II, but they appreciated freedom, they fought for it, they worked at the Space Center after they got out of the military, and I learned so much from them. So I want to encourage everyone, every citizen of Cocoa Beach, you commissioners, mayor, the variance for the height and density is in your hands. And if you want to keep Cocoa Beach as it is, please fight for it. It's worth keeping. Thank you.
Bill Talbot.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm just here to do a follow-up, and we were told that we might get an answer tonight from HR coordinator Leah Mumby on the 3-meter diving board. They were looking into the insurance. We first time came here was March 20th. We got 6 thumbs up for the 3-meter. That was going to be put in by Ronnie Haddock, one of the parents, and we're still waiting to find out about the insurance. So we're wondering if there's any progress made on it, and if we can keep this ball moving.
Sounds like he's got some information.
Yeah, we did a risk management study on that based on the increases of training for lifeguards and extra lifeguard, and the number of people that would be using that diving board in the deep well, which would have been the collegiate teams. But when we do collegiate teams, we always have the long run set up in the pool for the lanes. So that basically takes out the diving well. So from a risk management standpoint, we basically said no to the 3-meter diving board.
That's pretty upsetting
Very.
from my perspective. I mean, it was being put in free, and because of risk management, you know, when the guys are diving out there, when the college teams are here, Skip, they're here for several days, if not a full week, and they don't swim 24 hours a day. So they can easily, you know, shift those lanes and take those lane markers out and let their team divers dive off the 3-meter board. So that's not an excuse for not having it. Risk management, you know, you just don't let everyone dive off the board. That was kind of the idea. You block it off, and you have to be certified to dive off of it. And I just think it's a mistake.
We train there now.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There's room for the 1-meter boards. We're a program that's been there for 5 years now. They only put the lane lines in, the long lane lanes in on Wednesday right now for the public. Otherwise, they run at 25 yards at the upper end of the pool. And we have the diving well all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yep, this won't be a back and forth, but I appreciate what you're saying, and
It was.
you can have a sit down, and I don't know if this is something that was supposed to come back for the commission to vote on or even be presented to us, but I would appreciate that maybe all of us have a sit down and a talk to about it before it would just be squashed.
Yeah.
So just noted.
Yeah, it's not over. From my perspective, it's not over. And obviously, we have, looks like we may have the votes just to override it all and get it done. But we'll see what risk management has to say. But it's just about money.
Yeah, if you want to speak up, AJ.
We did run it by the Florida League of Cities, the Municipal Insurance Trust. That's the insurance entity for basically all of the municipalities in Florida. And their guidance was to be cautious because they didn't have a good experience with that. Some of the issues are the training, the liability associated with the board being there and unauthorized use. It's kind of an attraction for kids or young people or people that, you know, just want to take a big leap. Their guidance, I would be very cautious about going up against the guidance of the League of Cities insurance program. If there's, and I know they probably provide insurance coverage that would put us as a named insured, but nevertheless, if we get sued, or if they get sued, we're still on the hook for defending it. So I would, I think you need to weigh the both sides of the issue. Be happy to share the League of Cities risk comments on that.
All right,
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
we should close the beach then, probably, too,
Yeah,
because
there's,
that's dangerous.
I think there are cities that have 3-meter dives and be interested to learn.
We'll look into it.
Yeah.
No, just,
I
we'll,
don't think
I think
necessarily
we
we need
just have
to figure
discussion
it out
about
right
it.
here, but I would like to continue the research and maybe the discussion with the commissioners and,
Yep.
and management.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Any other public comments? All right, that'll close public comment. Staff reports.
That would be me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've been on the job for a little over 2 weeks now, and I thank everybody for making me feel welcome and for filling me in on where we've been at and the issues of the day. It's been, we have a great staff, and they're making it easy on me. Some of the things that they're working on is, first of all, the preparation for the budget workshop coming up. We're doing we're going to conduct a hurricane prep workshop, a tabletop exercise with all of our department heads to give them instruction on what they need to do at what point in the storm, as the storm approaches, when the storm occurs, and then to clean up after that. That's under the guidance of Chief Grimes, the fire chief, and that'll be going on over the next week. Of course, the staff worked on preparing the 100th celebration, and Carrie was instrumental in putting all of this together, Carrie Lombardo. We're in the vegetation growth season, so things, we've had rain and things are starting to grow. So we're trying to be alert to where we need trimming for pedestrian pathways. If any of the public sees things that need to be trimmed, just let us know and we'll send crews out for that. Staff is still going through punch list items on the building. There are things that are cropping up that we need to address. So that's going on. We need to establish fees and use terms, conditions, and limitations on the use of the community room and the green and the band shell. Some of the things that we need to address are what kind of uses do we really want to have? What kind of uses don't we want to have? It will all go through the Special Event Committee, and there's also, there'll be fees associated with renting each one of those entities, and we need guidance on what type of differential we want to use on resident versus non-resident rental. And finally, we need to mark the city complex parking spaces so that they're reserved for city business and for employee use. We're a 24-hour operation, and we need to have parking spaces when people come in even off hours. So that's it.
Thank you, City Manager. City Attorney,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
City Commission.
I have one thing. So AJ, as far as the parking spaces, you're talking about downstairs and some of the ones in the fire department parking lot?
On the complex here,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that the commission will give you consensus to do as you choose with
I
that.
didn't want to act independently, I wanted
Yeah,
to bounce it
so
off.
unless there's a complaint amongst the commission, I trust AJ to make those decisions.
Okay.
And a comment about the use of the community room, you talked about resident versus non-resident use. You know, you have clubs that are, and organizations that are profit and some that are nonprofit. You know, I think there should be a delineation there on costs. And as far as, you know, what kind of events, it's kind of a really tough one, so we'll have to have some discussions with the commission in the future about, you know, what we feel is appropriate use of the facilities versus inappropriate.
And we'll put together a proposed fee schedule for you all to look at. I know, for example, out at the country club, the differential for resident versus non-resident for the auditorium, $900 for a resident to rent the auditorium, $1,000 for a non-resident. You know, is that the type of differential you want? That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
I would think a resident would get it for less than, much less than a non-resident, but, you know, it's.
We'll discuss that, I
We'll
guess.
discuss that some other time too, I suppose. And as far as events there, I think that just be something that we hone as the time goes on too. You never really know what you're gonna get until it starts coming up.
But then there's always the piece where you could have, like the community room, for example, you could have 100 people that aren't residents, and then you have one resident that books the place.
That's their discretion. If they wanna have all their friends from out of the area come.
I know, I'm just saying that, you know,
Well, it's like anything.
Yeah.
yeah.
It is.
So to evade fees, you just go find residents, say you get in for free.
Well, so there's loopholes for
Anyway,
everything.
work on it and then bring it back to us.
I comment. On that note, I think that, and we will discuss it, but this, I don't want to say it now, so that it doesn't get lost. That any sanctioned events that we have, that the city pays for, like for the art show, Main Street, Friday Fest, shouldn't have to pay for extra for the downstairs or for the band shell on Friday Fest and the art show. It shouldn't be extra charges added to them for that. I really don't believe so. That it's a sanctioned event, we already, you know, so we give them money and then they have to pay for it. In
As long
addition to
as it
that, it
falls
doesn't make any
within-
sense. We'll discuss it down the road, but that's another
Yeah,
thing.
I don't
All
think
right.
it's appropriate to open up the community room for Friday Fest with no additional cost, because there's cleanup costs. And, you know, taking out the trash and going through and making sure the facility.
That's what they're responsible for doing all that anyway.
I think if it's in the
Another thing,
purview-
while it's my turn
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
speak. Several years ago, probably close to 8, well, longer than that, maybe 10 years ago, I suggested that city employees get the same parking sticker rate as residents. And that passed. I would like to, and not asking now, but on another agenda item down the road, that Cocoa Beach teachers, whether they're at Freedom 7, Roosevelt, or Cocoa Beach, also could get the $20 or resident rate for parking stickers.
I like
Just
that.
throwing that out there, and I think that would be a good thing for the teachers. They do a lot for our community, and just down the road, we'll put that on the agenda so we can actually vote on it. And that's all I got.
Okay. I think all those are great ideas. As long as, Friday Fest, in my opinion, if it's part of the allotment that we give them for their paid stuff, it should be included. But, if we give them 12 events a year, it should be included in the events, in my opinion. But that's something we can discuss as well. You got anything you want to say, or?
I think we've said a couple times, but AJ, it's really wonderful to have you here. I got to meet with you for the first time this week and really sit down and get to hear your thoughts. So just excited that he's around and thankful that he's fulfilling the role.
Thank you, AJ. And I do have one thing I'd like to bring up to commission. It has to do with paid parking. Maybe we'll get your consensus. You remember about 2 years back, maybe a year and a half or so, we changed some of the 90-minute parking to paid parking downtown. One of the businesses, it was First Street, was having issues where they weren't able to get people coming in as much because they didn't want to pay $5 to go spend $5 to eat. Now that the new Gentlemen's Club has taken over, they started charging for parking. So now there's a parking issue again. Half of First Street on the south half is 90-minute parking, but on the north half, which I think is about 6 spaces, is paid parking. I personally would think it would be less confusing and better for the businesses over there if that First Street was just all 90-minute parking. I don't think there's any other paid parking really close to that area, so it's kind of off-putting anyways. So I don't know if you guys think that that's fair or not, but I think it's fair for the business to be able to have the parking.
I think that's fair, and I suggest when we discuss that we also discuss parking fees and consider raising those fees. Residents get stickers for the same price for the entire year. We're talking about folks that aren't residents, the tourists and whatnot. It's pretty cheap to park in Cocoa Beach compared to just about every city on the East Coast. So
So you're talking
suggest
about the 6 spots on the north side, you want to take them from strictly paid parking to 90-minute?
Back to 90 minutes how it was.
Back to 90-minute.
Because
Yeah.
it's hurting the
We
business.
still need to keep it at 90 minutes because otherwise people use it for beach
Exactly,
parking.
exactly.
And then it's full again.
My goal is to make sure that the businesses downtown thrive. And
Okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
hurt
I
them.
agree.
I can support that.
Yep,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, that's all I had. Let's see. Consent agenda.
Okay, this is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the May 15th, 2025 and May 20th, 2025 commission meeting minutes. Staff representative, City Clerk Department recommendation approved. Item 2, approve the memorandum of understanding MOU between the School Board of Brevard County and the City of Cocoa Beach for School Resource Officer SRO services. This one-year MOU aligns with the MOU between the School Board of Brevard County and the Brevard County Sheriff's Office for the 2025-26 school year. For the 2025-26 school year, the School Board of Brevard County will reimburse the city $74,000 per SRO for law enforcement services, which includes a portion of the salary, benefits, and associated costs for up to the assigned 2 SROs and for a total not to exceed $149,000. This is a budgeted item. Representatives Wes Mullins, Police Chief, recommendation approved. Item 3, approve the amended acting city manager agreement to include Section 6 indemnification. Staff representative Becky Vos, city attorney, recommendation approved.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Unfinished business.
Okay, item 1, accept the quitclaim deed provided by the School Board of Brevard County for Ramp Road Park and the pond located on Freedom 7 school property. Staff representative Morgan Zulke, Stormwater Utility Manager, recommendation accept.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions or in the audience about this item? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Number 2?
Oh, item 2, discuss and approve the salary range for the city manager search conducted by Colin Basinger Associates. This was added 6/4/2025. Staff Representative Becky Vos, City Attorney, recommendation, discuss and approve.
Move to discuss and approve eventually.
Second.
Motion and a second.
So, I guess I might as well start. I think everybody had an opportunity to read the analysis that was done by the firm Colin Basinger, and saw the salary ranges compared to other areas in this basically locality. And I was kind of concerned at the recommendation of the salary range based on kind of our unique situation, that it's very expensive to live here, or to buy here, to live here. We did change it where you could live anywhere in Brevard County, but if we attract somebody from outside of Brevard County, they're still, they still have to move to Brevard County. So my thought was whether we end up with somebody that's an up-and-comer and is chosen by the city commission, that may be qualified but not have a vast amount of experience, and basically interviewed well and seemed like they could do the job, they would be at the lower end of the salary range, I would think. And then somebody that was just off the charts great, we would want that end of the salary range to be high enough to be able to attract that person. And they're gonna see this on the brochure. And I'm gonna give you the numbers here in a minute, but even though I do have a much higher top dollar number than was recommended by the firm, if it's still to get that level of money that you're gonna have to knock the qualifications and experience out of the park. And if it's somebody that's in the middle of the range, qualifications and experience, and we go into negotiations and they go, well, you guys said you'd pay up to $235. I want that $235. I want that $235. I don't want that person, because then they're just here for the money. But I think we should have that end of the spectrum high enough where, first of all, at first glance, when somebody looks at the solicitation for a city manager for Cocoa Beach and they look at what they're making now, they could say, well, at least they're paying what I'm making now, and I'd rather, I'd like to give Cocoa Beach a try. Or there's a little bit of room for me to grow salary-wise, and there's some additional expenses. So my recommendation for salary range, and you guys can give yours, but at this point would be from $160,000 a year to $235,000 a year. And it would be, that's what's going to be advertised. We're going to interview. We're going to choose somebody. And then then basically we choose them. We don't tell them when we choose them what their salary is going to be. Then they negotiate that salary with the city manager and Karen and city attorney. And I would expect them to do it based on their qualifications and experience and fit them in the right spot in that range.
I think these guys are probably professionals and they know what they're talking about, and I would be inclined to go with the $140,000 to $190,000. I think that's still a lot of money, and you can definitely live off that in Cocoa Beach.
The recommendation isn't 100,000.
To 190, it is.
140 to
Yeah.
190.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
like,
that also includes a lot of other things, car allotments, and various things involved as well.
well,
Basically, you're gonna get what you pay for. And unfortunately, that's how government works, that they typically choose the lowest bidder, and you get what you pay for. Skip, you know that from working at
Yeah,
this. at the,
that's
Space
why I
Center.
made my suggestion.
Yeah, I agree. And, unfortunately, that's where we are with some folks just want to, just go with the lowest bidder, go with the lowest amount. And, being a city manager is a lot more than just than what you might think. If you don't know, the city manager's in charge of the police department, he's in charge of the fire department, water treatment facility, parks and recreation,
Personnel.
everything, absolutely everything to do with the city, that's his job. And they earn their pay. They're on 24 hours a day. And if we don't have a salary that's commensurate with getting a quality person, then we're gonna continue to have city managers for 1 or 2 years for as long as we continue to handle it this way. If we want a top-notch city manager, we need to increase the pay range. Yes.
Okay, if it was mentioned that Colin Basinger is a very excellent professional in this area, and I was copied on an email, and I'd like to read it to you. It was an email that Commissioner Williams was on, and Colin Basinger and myself. And Commissioner Williams suggested going up to 235,000. And Colin responded, "I like your reasoning. I think the city is going to be paying close to 200,000 under what I suggest, and probably a bit more under what you suggest. The thing is that I believe your suggested range will attract more high-quality candidates than what I suggest. Say the city pays 210,000 instead of 190,000, but gets a much better manager. The difference is $20,000 at about $2 per resident. Is that worth it? A better manager will make that back for the city in a year by being more efficient and effective." So I think he changed his recommendation. I could not pass that on to you because of the Sunshine Law.
Thank you. We lost our current city manager at 100, he was at 190,000, but he didn't have all of the added benefits that we would add on to any city manager that we hire at this point, or previous city managers that we've had with car allowances and whatnot. So if we continue down this path of being cheap, Cocoa Beach will be cheap. And that's my perspective of it.
I'm interested in the discussion. Commissioner Williams, could you share a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, on the 235 number? How did you get to, or at least what were your thought processes for the 235?
Well, I had talked to Becky, 6 weeks, maybe longer ago, about some of the city managers that she knew had been hired around the state, okay, in beachfront communities. And correct me if I'm wrong.
I can explain the ones that I told you about.
Yeah, go ahead, that way I don't
Okay.
misspeak.
My firm represents St. Pete Beach, which has a new city manager, and she was hired for 240,000 with a lot of extra benefits.
And how many residents?
And I think it's about the same as Cocoa Beach. And also, my firm represents Fort Myers Beach, and they just a month ago hired a highly qualified city manager. And I know that he's paid more than the previous city manager, and he was at 240. I don't know his exact, pay, but I know it was significantly above the 240 that the.
And the resident
the one who left.
residency in that city was
Probably lower than Cocoa Beach,
lower than Cocoa Beach.
yeah.
So.
That's just kind of the market.
And neither one of them are
I'm not saying.
expensive type cities.
I wanted to go 240. I backed it off to 235, because if you put 240 and then you get this person that's just off the charts, we're gonna end up paying them 240. This way, if they're off the charts, but they really wanna come here, the max they can get is 235. If they're not quite there yet, I don't wanna give them the top dollar. I'm gonna say that they're just basically in it for greed, and they can just come in here and sit on their dot and have a director's meeting and set the agenda every couple of weeks and show up at a Friday Fest and draw their salary. You know, it wouldn't do staff any good, but you could have somebody that would do that. You know, I don't think it'd be good for their career in the long run, but we want somebody that's gonna really care about the city, and I think we have to pay for it. And that's why I bumped up the bottom end a little and went with 235 for the top end, and I would look for a motion for discussion.
What was your bottom, 160?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I will say that, I mean, I thought our previous city manager, Robin, was a very excellent candidate as far as she was very qualified, very knowledgeable. The reason that the last two city managers are not here has nothing to do with pay. There's extenuating circumstances. So, in that respect, I think we got a really quality candidate for the lower price on this line item here. But if you're going to bump it up, in my opinion, if you're going to bump it up to 200 and something, then to me the requirement would be you have to live in Cocoa Beach. Yeah. I mean, there's no way that I'm going to say, oh, you can live over in Rockledge and we're still going to pay you. If you're going to pay that much, I want you here on a moment's notice. I want you here. I mean, that's the way I see it. That's over $200,000 is a great salary for here.
Yeah, but there's a trade-off. You say, I want to be able to want you here. Well, what if they're playing golf at Suntree on the weekend? You want them here, so you got to play here? What if they want to go on vacation? Oh, I want you here, so you can vacate. We'll give you a couple of tickets for a couple of timeshares up the street. You know, you're not going to have a city manager that's going to be at your beck and call. And I think, and Becky agreed, and Colin agreed, and she can read those emails if she wants to, that Brevard County is a good call. I mean, it keeps you having people have to drive from Orlando. I don't think a bunch of people are going to want to be living up in Scottsmore and Mims and then driving all the way to Cocoa Beach when you can buy cheaper in Canberra Groves or Port St. John or wherever you can afford. If they choose they want to live in Cocoa Beach and they've got a pretty good equity in their home wherever they are, then I'm sure they could trade and use portability on their homestead exemption and buy a house at Cocoa Beach. But it should be their choice. But to say that you want them, for that kind of money, they need to live in Cocoa Beach, doesn't make sense to me, because there's nothing, we don't have a leash on any city manager that says you can't leave the city unless you fill out a paperwork, and they've got paperwork. The city clerk's got paperwork. Absence from the city. Okay, I'm gonna go play golf at Suntree. Absence from the city.
Obviously that's not what I was talking about. But.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, Skip, I agree with you 100%. City manager doesn't put fires out. He doesn't, give tickets for speeders. He's not gonna be there when there's an accident. That's not his job. And he's got a phone and he's a call immediately. Hey, this is what we need to do, and he'll act on it. That's his job. Whether he's in Cocoa Beach or in Alaska, he's gonna get that call and make the decisions on what needs to be done. He's gonna be here throughout the week. And that's gonna be obviously a requirement, to be here and all. When you say they gotta live in Cocoa Beach, we're fortunate. The 5 of us live in Cocoa Beach right now. We're very fortunate that we don't have to buy a house right now to live in Cocoa Beach.
Couldn't afford it.
No way. No way could I afford to buy a house right now for $800,000 or $1 million. I mean, I don't know that any of us could really actually do that. Maybe, I don't know, but do you want to? Would you want to? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And the city manager isn't gonna live, I mean, he's not gonna buy the cheapest place in Cocoa Beach, which was probably $400,000 or $500,000. So that just, to me, it doesn't make any sense to require them. We already made that decision that they don't have to live in Cocoa Beach, and it shouldn't be based on what their salary is.
I think, Mr. Mayor, I understand I think I understand where you're coming from, and that one of the reasons we relinquished the role of living in Cocoa Beach was because we said, hey, we don't want to pay as much, and by doing this, it allows us to potentially lower the salary, and that if we're taking the salary back, or at least the range, that we at least need to talk about why we did that again, and that makes sense to me. I think at very least expressing to Colin that living in Cocoa Beach is preferred. I think that's an easy thing for any of the commission to say, that not a requirement, but preferred, like that it would be looked favorably upon if the applicant said, not only can I make it work, but I can live here in Cocoa Beach. That would be a positive thing for us, and expressing that I think wouldn't hurt anything. In terms of the pay banding, like I think that's a really common thing, and Commissioner Williams, I think I'm following your line of logic on that by putting it up to the 235, it gives us the flexibility that if we found an absolute rock star that just hit the sweet spot in every way, we have the ability to compete with the St. Pete and some of the Fort Myers. Whereas if they're coming in and they land at the 190 or 170 or 165 based on their current salary, and we offered them, it still gives them the ability, still gives them the ability to grow, right? That we could keep them for many years and they could grow up through the salary range. So I think it has both the benefit of recruiting a wider group of folks, possibly getting higher quality candidates, and even if we were to get a high quality candidate at a lower pay rate, it gives them a ceiling where they would want to stay around, because staying here, they can see a future for the long term. So I think I agree.
Okay. And so one thing you said about, if we're interviewing and say, hey, you could ask the question, would you be willing to relocate and live in Cocoa Beach? And the person said, yeah, that's definitely an option. And then you select the person based on that. There's nothing in the contract and the solicitation that says they have to, and that's a life decision. You gotta go back to talk to your family, you gotta look at your finances, you gotta look at the market prices. So we couldn't hold them to that.
Just expressing that it's
That they
preferred.
have that desire.
That's it.
All right, then I'll go ahead, and did you have something?
No, I mean, I'm with the mayor. I think we're paying them to do a good analysis. I'd stick with their numbers.
Okay, I'm gonna
Sounds
go
like that's
with the
override.
motion to raise the salary range, or set the salary range at $160,000 to $235,000 a year, and I'm looking for a second.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. We got public comment. Come on, Janice.
Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. I want to be the devil's advocate about a couple of things that you all have mentioned. First of all, if you're going to negotiate, you can't throw in the high figure. You start at the low figure and give yourself some room to go up, to negotiate up. The second thing, I believe, is St. Petersburg Beach and Fort Myers Beach are quite a bit larger than Cocoa Beach. And they're basically in a metropolitan area that I believe Cocoa Beach, the barrier island is an exception. If you allow the manager to live in Palm Bay, I go that way a lot. I go around this county a lot. It takes 45 minutes on a good day to get from here to the library in Oak Alley. 45 minutes going the speed limit. And, I kind of go a little at 5 miles an hour over probably. But I think that 160.
Skip will allow it.
No, I was thinking,
I know
west
that
on it.
that's, So, first of all, a manager doesn't know everything about running the wastewater plant. He doesn't know or she wouldn't be expected to know everything about policing or fire department. A manager brings all the professions together and manages them. They don't have to know how to fill in if Brad suddenly has to go home ill or something. He doesn't go over there and run the show. I just feel like there's a lot to be said about getting an opportunity to move to the barrier island. Now, not everybody has to own a house either. Do you all believe that's a God-given right to own a house? No. And if you live in Merritt Island, the property values in Merritt Island are quite a bit less if you look around. So you can't be everything to everybody. You're looking for a good manager, maybe someone with 40 years' experience would want to come here as their last job. That would be great. Likes to surf, wants to chill, slow down. But I really do think you need to revisit some of your points of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Any other public comment? All right.
By the way, Fort Petersburg Beach has 5,200 people.
And,
Fort Myers, rather.
and St. Pete Beach has 8,700 and Cocoa Beach has 11,000, over 11,000. So by far, Cocoa Beach is bigger than
And
each of
if you
them.
looked at the square mileage, we're much bigger.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're twice the population of Fort Myers Beach.
And we're four
And-
times the geographical area.
I,
right.
yes, I believe so.
Just want to make one more point before we vote. Plenty of people move here every day for all types of reasons. People move here for work, for vacation, for whatever. So could just be somebody that wants to live in Cocoa Beach and wants to be a manager as well.
And I don't think they would necessarily have to buy.
Right.
They could certainly rent. So I don't think it's out of the question to be able to come in, but buying, I agree with Commissioner Tumulty, would be fairly hard for most people.
Yeah. All right. All in
So
favor of,
the motion is 165 to 230?
160 to 235.
all in favor of Skip's motion?
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? Nay. Motion passes 3-2. All right. New business.
Okay, item 1, Ramp Road Park FPL Agreement and Easement. A, accept the agreement between the City of Cocoa Beach and Florida Power and Light Company, FPL, to install and maintain new fixtures, poles, and hand holes at the Ramp Road parking lot. The one-time contribution in aid of construction, CIAC, is $12,277.35. The estimated increase to the monthly bill will be $293.19, which includes the price of the lights, poles, energy maintenance, hand holes, wire, and conduit. This is a budgeted item.
Move to approve as read.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comment?
Yeah, so my question, wasn't there a plan to do the Minuteman streetlights as well to FPL? Is that, I don't know if that's,
It's not part of this item.
no, that's what I'm asking, would it make sense to be part of this item? I agree with this, but I thought
Well, this is already inked agreement. We would have to follow up on the agreement you're talking about.
I'm trying to understand from the city, what is the plan to do the Minuteman lights?
Okay. It'd be separate of this one.
What are you suggesting for Minuteman?
The discussion last year was Minuteman was gonna get outsourced to FPL as well, just like this. So I'm just trying to understand the plan, the next phase of this.
Here comes Brad.
Good, Brad.
Brad Kelso, Public Works and Water Rec Director. We weren't able to get that done this fiscal year, so we do show it in next year's proposed budget to do.
Okay. Any other comment from the commission? Any public comment? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
1B.
Okay, approve the FPL lighting easement, which will give FPL access to install and maintain the lighting plan for the Ramp Road parking lot. Staff Representative Morgan Zulke, Stormwater Utility Manager, recommendation approved.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comment? Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, item 2, approve the replacement rooftop unit, RTU, HVAC system for the police department in the amount of $64,350. This is an emergency purchase, and the unit has a 14 to 16-week lead time. This is not a budgeted item in fiscal year 2025. Staff Representative Brad Calzo, Water Reclamation and Public Works Director Wes Mullins, Chief of Police, recommendation approved.
Move to approve.
Second.
Quick question, does anybody know how old this unit is?
It's not that, it's not at the 10 to 15 year lifespan range, but it is on the roof of the building, unprotected, and we get pretty close to sea breeze.
The unit was actually manufactured in 2017. It sat in a warehouse for a couple of years before it got installed here, so it is about 8 years old.
Is there any type of warranty on this or the next one moving forward?
I believe in the proposal that warranties were not included, but we can ask them if you guys recommend a certain amount of warranty. Actually, the proposal might say 1 year warranty.
Okay.
I could be wrong. If you want an extended warranty, I can reach out to them.
I think it would, you just have to do the math and figure out if it, you know, if it's only gonna last, 5 years on the roof, then we gotta figure out, you do the math on what the warranty costs.
I'll get a price and do a cost benefit.
Okay.
Okay, so if we pass this, it basically gives you wiggle room with the ceiling of $64,350.
It does not give me wiggle room for an extended warranty.
No, I'm just saying, if you get it less than 64,000, or you already have the bid.
The proposal's for $64,350.
Okay, and how many proposals did you get?
Just one. We have a continuing service with Engineering Coin Solutions.
Okay, and what brand, just curious, what brand would this unit be?
I don't have it with me.
It doesn't even say in here, Temp Master. It is 1 year and 5 year on the compressor, Mayor.
Yeah, because I
don't wanna micromanage here, but I'd prefer to see 3 bids on this.
I'm just like, but I mean, has the thing failed and we're spending a bunch of money every month while we're waiting on this 14 to 16 week lead time to get the new one? We're spending,
Currently, 3 out of the 4 coils are failing right now.
and we're dumping Freon in it
And
and
if
leak
yes.
stop and everything else?
And if
And
they
paying-
completely
And paying
fail,
somebody to maintain it?
correct.
So that's a problem.
If we can get somebody to do 2 other bids within a week, I think that's probably reasonable.
I would just say that, I'm not gonna tout one air conditioning brand over another, but I buy trains, okay? And they basically come with a 10-year, warranty. And for not much more, you can get parts and labor on that. I mean, labor additional to just parts on that warranty.
Do you have experience with $70,000 AC units?
No, I'm just saying
Okay.
for an
So home units have that, but I don't know that $70,000 units have that. I have a question on, I know I don't know the exact time, it seems like it was 2 years ago that the AC went out in the police station, and it was out for quite a while.
Yeah, Robin was here.
So is this a continuation of that? Did we replace that unit, and now that unit has failed?
I was not part of that one. I don't know that answer. Scott, were you here on that? Did a unit fail a couple of years ago?
I know for a fact that unit has had issues since the building was opened. It's constantly failed.
Maybe the police chief can give us a heads up, because it was terrible. It was like 90-plus degrees in that building for
Correct.
for a while.
Westmoreland's Police Chief. Since year 2, maybe, in that building, the AC has been in and out, really. We've had it off for months at a time, summer. I'm not an expert on the AC unit. I just know when our folks say it's hot and unbearable, and then the public works side has to scramble to get AC vents down and, just to cool the employees. It has been a continuing issue, whether it was the install initially, I have no idea, but the proprietary software on the AC unit was an issue that nobody knew how to handle on the front end once the construction was done, and then the units just started collapsing. And we just called these folks. Chris, how many times did we call them? I don't know the number. Yeah, I just couldn't even give you a number. It's so many times that we're calling for assistance on this. So it's been a problem since year 2 in that building. So you're right.
And Brad, you're saying we've got a proposal to buy it from the same people that we've had all this trouble from?
No, you're talking about the software?
I'm talking about all of it. The AC hasn't worked since year 2. That's all I'm talking about.
We haven't used this company for AC replacements up there yet.
And you did research in their, the AAA Better Business Bureau?
No, I have not, no, sir.
I'd really prefer to get two other quotes. I'll approve this, but I want to get more quotes.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, we gotta get out of the emergency unbudgeted crisis management and plan for this. I mean, ACs are going out, we know there's
Right,
an
but
issue.
don't forget,
I get
we're in
it,
the meantime spending money.
I get it,
What-
but
what's
that's
another-
the
what's
answer.
another week?
Exactly.
I'm okay with that. I don't believe you'll get a good bid in a week.
So
Somebody will just throw a number at it.
Can you add that we'll get 3 quotes to your thing, so I don't have to make it?
Why don't I just, I miss it, I'm, pull your second and I'll pull my main.
Can we have more discussion?
Yeah,
So we're changing this now, and we want 3 bids to go out. If I'm hearing this right, I'm thinking that we're gonna take the lowest bid.
No,
Okay.
the best company.
Oh, the best company.
The best company's.
no,
Because we're experts in
No.
AC.
We're supposed to pick, just like any bids that come into the city is based on qualifications.
Exactly.
Qualifications. The price could be lower for this guy, but he's less qualified. Higher for this guy, but he's more qualified. And that's how you trade off who you pick.
Yeah. I can
It's
tell you,
quality, it's quality.
when I get stuff done at my house, I don't just get one bid. I mean, I'm sorry, but we should probably run the city a little bit more like the people run their residences and try to save the residents some money here.
I'm not debating that at all. I'm debating and having a conversation about taking the lowest bid, which is basically what happened with the police station and why the AC unit failed within the first 2 years. And nothing was done with it. There was no warranty, nothing happened. And basically they couldn't use that building for a considerable amount of time. It was ridiculous. And I hope that doesn't happen with this building.
So
just
just
saying.
what I would ask you to
That would
do,
be,
pull your second, I'll pull my main motion, and then the discussion would be to get the bids. Make the motion to get 3 bids, don't give it a dollar amount, let them get the 3 bids. Do the quality analysis on what they're getting for bang for the buck with warranty or whatever, and then bring that number back to us.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes.
If the other 2 bids come in with the same lead time, if we wait another couple weeks, that's gonna push us in the next fiscal year. So are you telling me that you're going to pre-approve an expense for next fiscal year at the next meeting?
Well, it wouldn't really matter because this is an unfunded expenditure now.
yeah.
In
So if it
14
ends
weeks,
up in being in next fiscal year, then
Then we'll have to show that in the proposed budget
correct.
for you guys.
but this likely we would invoice it in next year anyways, right? If it's 14 weeks. I agree with you. Getting the multiple bids, it's how it works in industry. It's not lowest cost, it's best value.
I
So,
got it. You pull your second there, Tim.
thank you, Brad.
Okay, I pulled my main motion.
I pulled a second.
Okay, and I just make what the mayor recommends is, and I think consensus, is that we ask city staff to go out for 3 bids for this particular need based on specifications of the building, and bring this back to us with their recommendation of the 3 bids at the earliest meeting that they have the information
Is
available.
it possible for us to go in that direction, but pre-approve them at this value or lower?
I'm okay with that.
Well,
That way we don't lose the time and they've got to come back to us, but if we know we
what
can
if
get
they
it for
could,
this.
if we tell them this value or lower,
true.
and
That's
somebody comes in at $70,000 and wants to give you a 5-year warranty, parts and labor, I'm gonna go with the 70,000.
They could come back to us if they need an updated decision from the commission, but giving them the license to move instead of wait,
Did I
kick
get
the
a
can down the
second
road.
on my
Second.
motion?
I got a second on that.
Second. I thank you. And Brad, I see you really want to say something.
Well, you know, there's also an option to repair those 3 bad coils right now. And there's a 5 to 6 lead time to get those done, and that, they came in at 36,000.
Well, it sounds like if you're having problems with the whole system, there's no sense in repairing
Yeah,
something that's broken.
the coil.
And that's why we came with you for full
Okay,
replacement.
and okay, we got a motion and a second. I just had another question for Brad. Okay, so, I've got 300-ton chillers that, I won't go to the long story, tell the government why they didn't replace them in 15 years like I told them to. There were 2010 trains, and done some maintenance over the years, but coils are failing. And just the replacement coils on the 300 tons are, got lead time, and it's $200,000 just for the coils. Then I gotta pay the labor to get them put in, okay? My HVAC guys use leak stop that they add into the Freon and the oil, and then you run it. And as it hits air, it starts sealing up those little pores in the leaks in the coils. It loses some efficiency, so now you're spending a little more money on power, but you're not losing Freon.
Okay.
So I don't know who your maintenance contractor is, if it's the same people that sold you these units, or is that?
It is.
Okay, well, and that's these same people that are giving us this price?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, we can't do that. We need to go over across the street, there's a place called
Flex Seal.
Cabrians, and ask them if they'll go up there. I don't think these people have an exclusive right to be the only ones that work on this unit, since we're already out of warranty and guarantee. So, talk to somebody that works on these commercial sized units and ask them about, injecting some leak stop into these coils to get us past some of this time frame and keep the police station cool through the next couple of months while we're waiting on lead time or getting proposals or whatever.
Understood.
Thank you.
And that's not part of the motion, that was just an ask.
So, okay, I'm not gonna go off the task, but I've got something to say after we vote on this.
Any public comment? Yes, sir.
John Dillon, Cocoa Beach. Back in the old days, I won't say how many years that was, when I was doing the HVAC design, always required, I don't know what the requirement is, but one requirement is these called sea coating, which is on the fins, protect all, to save the life of that. When I remodeled mine at my house back in 2007, it survived 16 years. Think about that close to the beach. Well, I'm not on a level like, better the higher for their vehicle, for their building. We had problems with one facility at the Cape, and Fed's problem with that. Worked with Train, came back, passed their warranty, came back and negotiated them, and came back and they recoated it, and for many more years for that. So make sure you get the sea coating as part of the requirements for this. Again, what I redid mine at the house, it's a trade also. What I designed was a trade also. Almost every project I designed with. So I agree with what he's saying on that. But anyway, 3 companies got to do that for bidding. No question on that. If you got any kind of questions to help y'all look at the bids, something like that, let me know.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Oh, yeah.
It's just one thing I wanted to say, or ask. Do we have and I'm not asking for a response, it's just more of a, look into it, a preventative maintenance program for everything we have, for vehicles, all the equipment we have specifically out at the golf course, maintaining all the mowers, our fleet of vehicles and all. Are we actually following the manufacturer's expected preventive maintenance plan for everything we have?
I can tell you from like a fleet aspect and a water reclamation aspect, yes, we do follow manufacturer's instructions. And I think next year, we've also included in the proposed budget in every single department, a preventative maintenance budget line item, a known maintenance and a reactive maintenance budget line item. So we are moving forward in the future to get there.
Okay, good. So we're documenting it. So every
Correct.
time we change the oil or add air to the tires or check all the rotate tires and everything like that, it's documented. And
Fleet has software for that. Water Rec has a CMMS program to document stuff like that.
Yeah.
Police department, everything.
So like, for example, like on when we worked on tugboats, every boat has a fleet management software where your maintenance will pop up on a schedule. You fill it out, you complete it, you put your findings in, and then, every, month or whatever, or every week, you have your checklist of stuff. So something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
yeah, I'm afraid that's not happening at the golf course, and I know that's out of your purview of expertise, and you don't deal with them.
I know
But-
it's probably
but-
not happening.
But I know it's not happening. But maybe that can be looked into, and that's all I gotta say. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
We are adjourned.
Thank you for indulging.